Hello, and welcome to the video. Dr. Sergei Pankajev was a client of Sigmund Freud, who referred to him as Wolfman, owing to a symbolic dream which he described to Freud. Freud detailed his sessions with Wolfman, which lasted for 4 years between 1910 and 1914, in a 1918 paper entitled From the History of Infantile Neurosis. Wolfman first saw Freud having suffered from deteriorating health since experiencing gonorrhea at the age of 18. He described how he was unable to pass bowel movements without the help of an enema, and felt as though he was separated from the rest of the world by a veil. In addition to his gonorrhea, Pankachev's older sister, Anna, died by suicide, after apparently being mistreated by an older woman during their travels together. In 1907, his father also died by suicide by overdosing on sleeping pills. Thus, understandably, Pankajev began to experience symptoms of depression. Freud persuaded Wolfman to undergo psychoanalytic treatment until a specific date, after which their sessions should cease. He believed that his patient would have lowered resistance to the therapy and the investigation if he had an end date in mind. Wolfman agreed to this and described to Freud the events of his childhood. As a child, Wolfman was initially a calm, quiet character. As a result of this and his sister's more boisterous behavior, he recalled having been told that he should have been born in his sister's place and she in his. Initially, Wolfman had been an agreeable child, but he became combative when his parents returned from a specific trip. He had been cared for by a new nanny whilst they had been absent, and his parents blamed their relationship for his misbehavior. He also recalled developing a fear of wolves, and his sister would taunt him with an illustration in a picture book. However, Wolfman's fears extended beyond wolves to other creatures, including beetles, caterpillars, and butterflies. On one occasion, whilst he was pursuing a butterfly, fear overcame him and he was forced to end his pursuit. The man's conflicting account suggests an early alternation between a phobia of and a taunting of insects and animals. Wolfman's unusual behavior was not limited to a fear of animals. He developed a zealous religious worship routine, kissing every icon in the house before bedtime, whilst experiencing blasphemous thoughts. Wolfman recalled a dream which had caused him some distress when he had awoken. In the dream, he was laid in bed, and when he looked out of the window and noticed 6 or 7 white wolves sat outside in a tree. The wolves, which had tails that did not match their bodies, were watching him in his room. Freud linked this nightmare to a story which the Wolfman's grandfather had told him, in which a wolf named Reynard lost his tail whilst using it as bait for fishing. He believed that Wolfman suffered from castration anxiety. Castration anxiety is a psychoanalytic concept introduced by none other than Sigmund Freud himself to describe a boy's fear of loss of or damage to the genital organ as punishment for incestuous wishes towards the mother and murderous fantasies towards the rival father, which explained the fox-like tails of the wolves in the dream, and his fear of caterpillars, which he used to dissect. The man had also witnessed his father chopping a snake into pieces, which Freud believed had contributed to this anxiety. However, despite Freud's interpretation of Wolfman's condition, he continued to suffer beyond the cutoff date originally set by Freud, and would visit him intermittently for many years, along with other therapists. A few years after finishing psychoanalysis with Freud, Pankajev, or the Wolfman, developed a psychotic delirium. He was observed in a street staring at his reflection in the mirror, convinced that some sort of doctor had drilled a hole in his nose. Another psychotherapist, who followed Freudian tradition, explained the delusion as displaced castration anxiety. Pankajev later published his own memoir under Freud's given pseudonym, and remained in contact with Freudian disciples until his own death, undergoing analysis for around 6 decades despite Freud's pronouncement of his being cured. This makes Wolfman one of the longest-running famous patients in the history of psychoanalysis. Hope you found the story of the Wolfman interesting, and if you haven't seen my other Freudian case studies, maybe give them a watch. If you enjoyed the video, maybe give it a like, and subscribe if you want to. Thanks for watching.